60 seconds as you get yourself settled. Okay. All right, good evening and welcome to the final session of this evening. It's called Sea Learning, Advancing the Culture of Compassion in Education. We're going to start off by a short Sea Learning promo video to start off this session. So we're going to get started with that. Thank you.
For decades, His Holiness the Dalai Lama has championed the critical need for modern education to nurture both heart and mind. Through dialogues with scientists, religious leaders, and scholars, as well as in his extensive writings, he has illuminated how compassion can help equip children and young adults to navigate the challenges of our increasingly complex world. Likewise, Dr. Daniel Goleman, a leading pioneer of social and emotional learning, or SEL, poses a fundamental question in his book, Triple Focus, A New Approach to Education. He asks, what tools might we give our children to navigate today's rapidly changing world, a world that, despite tremendous progress in technology and the sciences, is facing unprecedented emotional, social, and ecological challenges? This question became a call to action. Working closely with both the Dalai Lama and the founders of SEL, including Dr. Goleman, Emory University developed and launched Sea Learning in 2019. Sea Learning, that is, social, emotional, and ethical learning, complements and advances the field of SEL with several innovations: resilience and attention training, ethical discernment, system thinking, and compassion for self and others. The framework consists of 3 domains: systems, the social, and the personal, and 3 dimensions: awareness, compassion, and engagement. The intersection of these domains and dimensions yield 9 skill sets the program helps to cultivate. Dr. Goleman now calls Sea Learning SEL 2.0, and the Collaborative for Academic, Social, and Emotional Learning, or CASEL, the leading organization assessing SEL programs worldwide, has given Sea Learning its highest recognition, CASEL Select. Implementing in more than 79 countries, Sea Learning has reached over 20 million students and is translated into 27 languages. From urban schools in Atlanta to rural communities in Mongolia, from refugee communities to private academies, Sea Learning is rooted in science and can be adapted to any context. Now the launch of the Sea Learning Educator Hub is breaking down barriers to access, empowering educators worldwide with the digital tools and training they need to shape more resilient, compassionate students, and through them, more resilient, compassionate schools and communities. Because future challenges won't be solved by simply transmitting knowledge to future generations. Those generations will need a compassionate heart and the know-how to sustain it. We invite you to join the Compassion Shift to help advance a global culture of compassion for the children of today and the world of tomorrow.
All right, thank you all for joining us this evening for these important conversations we're going to be having and hearing from our wonderful affiliates that we have here that are joining us from around the world that are going to be sharing their impact stories of how they're bringing Sea Learning to their contexts and settings as well too. And we'll hear how Sea Learning is educating both heart and mind, and how these approaches can strengthen well-being, relationships, ethical discernment, and human flourishing, and a shared sense of responsibility in our schools and in our communities as well too. We'll begin by hearing the impact stories from our affiliates about how they're bringing Sea Learning to their schools, their organizations, and their communities. And then this will be followed by a Q&A. Afterwards, if we have time, we'll open it up to the audience as well to ask any questions that you have. And then we'll wrap it up with a few key reflections and takeaways from this evening as well too. As you listen, I invite you to notice the common themes across these diverse settings. and also the unique ways that compassion-based education is taking place in different cultural contexts and settings and educational landscapes as well too. And I'd like to introduce our speakers for this evening. I'll start off with Reshma Piramal. She's the co-director of the Karuna Practice, an educational nonprofit and primary collaborator of C-Learning and CBCT initiatives in India. We have Neha Bhatia, is a co-director of the Karuna Practice and supports schools and organizations implementing C-Learning across India. We have Aranzaya Art Bazaar. She's the executive director of C-Learning in Mongolia, where she leads efforts to expand compassion-based education across schools and communities. We have Tran T. Min Trang, who's the co-founder and managing director of Heart and Mind Education, the primary collaborator for C-Learning and CBCT initiatives in Vietnam. We have Intan Asmara Dewi, is a compassion educator and a communication specialist based in Jakarta, Indonesia, with over 20 years of experience in brand marketing and communications. And we have Jennifer Knox, who serves as a director of character education and the Rom N. R. Brill Chair for Ethical Leadership and Development at Woodward Academy in Atlanta, where she's bringing C-Learning to her school. And without further ado, we'll have Reshma and Neha join us here. And if you want to know more about our panelists, their full bios are in the back of the program as well, too, so definitely worth reading.
Thank you, Iman. No movement, he said. No movement? Okay. So no dance? No.
We've just been warned, no movement, because Neha and I are known for our dancing.
And for those of you who don't know the context, turn to page 32 of the annual report booklet.
Yeah. So I'm glad to see that most of you made it. And today we're here to talk about ripples. After this entire tsunami and tidal wave that we had in the first session, where we learned about the science of why this is really, really critical, and I don't see any of the scientists here, because the hard work, few of you, yes, but all the speakers aren't here, because this is the real hard work. How do you translate this wonderful research, and what does it look like on the ground? Yeah. So that's what we're here to talk about. And I think I'm going to hand over to Neha, who's going to start, because I'm also in this part, I would say, sleepwalking, lucid dream phase, because I'm jet lagged. So, Neha, why don't you begin?
Thank you, Reshma. As you can see, we're trying to bring as much laughter and lightness in the room, because we want to make sure that you stay with us. Okay, I want to start by thanking Robin, who's not here in the room. We've already spotted that. I want to thank him because he actually set the context for what we were anyway going to share. And he set the record straight. One, well-being and compassion are skills. So if they are skills, how do you foster these skills? How do you cultivate this in actual? What do you really do on the ground such that these skills become real lived experiences for children and adults alike? So for the last 7 years, through the Karuna Practice in C-Learning India, we have been working with many classrooms, many educators, and we've seen a mixed range, or the whole range, right? C-Learning programs have worked in some classrooms very beautifully, where we ourselves have been in awe of how beautifully the classrooms have shaped. And then there are classrooms where the C-Learning program outcomes have been uneven. And when we look at those, both Reshma and I were sort of questioning, saying, what is it that makes a classroom so beautifully take the C-Learning program, and some of the classrooms where the outcomes are uneven? So when we questioned that, there came Tyrolin and Tenzin and the team, and they also did the 3-year research. So what is interesting is that the research confirmed some of our assumptions. And what were some of these assumptions? And going back to what Robin and the previous panel were sharing, it's really the context and the conditions that make a program work. Those are important factors in making a program work. Even well-designed programs, beautifully implemented programs, or well-researched programs can give you mixed outcomes just because of the conditions that they operate in. So what we're going to talk about today is the investment that we as Karuna Practice have made with some of our partners, not just in training them or offering them support in implementation, but being able to support them in becoming what we call epicenters of flourishing. And Reshma will take us through that.
So that's where the ripple comes in, an epicenter and a ripple, not the water that you see here. So as Neha said, I think one of the most important things is we're here to present to you not another story of a shift, but rather what happens when you put compassion at the heart and at the center of an organization. Yeah. And what is that ripple that is created that's so contagious and that creates flourishing all around. And for that, we're going to talk about two of the ripples that we hold very close to our heart. And the first one is talking about, slides so in case you want to have a look.
These are all the ripples.
So for the first one we're going to talk about, these
are all the ripples across. Yeah. Sorry, I just wanted to say that these are all the ripples across, and we're going to zoom into two of them.
Yeah. So for the first ripple that I'm going to talk about is in the Mumbai-Pune district of Maharashtra. And we've been working very closely with an organization that has a set of charter schools. It's about 20 schools. That's where the research study was also done. But what I want to talk about is not the statistics, because the statistics talks about the reach, gives you the numbers. That's something that you can look at your own time. But what I want to talk about is the deep investment made by the organization in not just reorganizing and prioritizing C-learning for their community, but what that did in terms of what was required in terms of investment. It was about creating a cadre of facilitators, of master facilitators, of junior master teachers, of getting families on board, and eventually in being not just a bastion for what C-learning should look like in a school, but actually then creating a bridge program that supported 150 municipal schools of the district that they operated in. So what we begin to see is 150 schools where teachers of these schools, government municipal schools, and over 10,000 students have actually learned from this organization and how they can bring C-learning into the classroom. And what we are beginning to see, which is even more exciting, is that the neighboring district, Pune district, which has even more schools, says, hey, what are they doing that we are not doing? And then we have another city, which is again the same government, says, hey, Pune did this, why are we not doing this? So really looking at how a ripple is created by one force that invests and spends time in really dedicating the efforts of its community in building practices.
And what is interesting is that in this story is not only did the school or did Akanksha as an organization manage to take C-learning externally, but internally it became such a strengthening exercise for them as an organization that suddenly we hear the founder telling us or the CEO telling us, oh wait, there is some shift within my organization that I'm experiencing. There's a shift in the culture. There's a shift in the way, and these are early signs. Like Reshma said, we are not here to claim that, oh, here's a magic bullet, please take it and this will work. But we're starting to see early signs of when a teacher feels valued and cared for, when an employee or an organization starts to bring well-being, care, flourishing, all of these things within their organization, the people who are receiving it are moved and motivated themselves to then therefore take it to other organizations and schools, right? I
just wanted to add one thing, and this is where I would love for our researchers to say, how do we develop transformational metrics? Yeah. The spontaneous desire to share when you experience well-being and want to share it with others. And that's really what we've begun to see. So how do we capture that when we begin to see organizations really willing to share with others around them? Yeah. Go ahead.
For the second organization, what I want to do is I want you to picture this geographically in India. It takes us 2 days to travel and get to this place, this geography. I'm talking about Arunachal and Tawang district. Physically takes us 2 days, and the internet quality there is not that great. So you cannot bank on online sessions. Now, what is interesting in this community, and you will hear Genla tomorrow, and I'm sure you will meet Vasudha, at the oh, there they are, at the back. Genla, please wave. We have to acknowledge that you're in the room. This is Genla's community that he so beautifully built, and you will learn more about that on day 3 as well through the film. Yes, Tenzin is here to tell us that time is running out. No? Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
So what I want to tell you is that, it's not important to focus on the numbers here or the story here, but what is important is that with such a small start, slowly the teachers and educators within the system not only helped other educators within their own community to learn about C-learning, to embody it, to practice it on an everyday basis, but then took this again in the district where, now they find support from the district officials, they find support now from the Chief Minister's office in being able to take this program into other districts in that geography, which is incredible for an organization like us, like Karuna Practice, because it brings us back to our starfish. Our starfish is not to simply train or educators on a daily basis. Yes, we do that, but we do that not as an end to something, but as a means to be able to touch their lives and touch it in a way that they are able to then take it as a ripple effect into the geography that they exist in. Maybe we'll skip this in the interest of time, but all I want to say is that our research, the point that I made initially, confirmed that the implementation is shaped as much by the context and the customization and the personalization that Robin and the previous panel were talking about, and not the generalization of one-size-fits-all type of program that we were offering.
And I would also like to add here, it's very important for all of us to acknowledge that the tension exists often when things don't necessarily work. We don't always have to have that perfect result. So really building a narrative is as important as really getting the results. So impact really here is not the success as much as it's saying what is going right and what is not going right, for us to then begin to look and see how can we craft and support change in a way in which will benefit that specific community. And finally, I think we just want to end by talking about very important CBCT. And CBCT is something that is so integral to C-learning that we've made it in some way a very important part of our training to introduce CBCT at the very beginning with our C-learning educators. So we've had a tremendous number of teachers who've trained in CBCT as well as C-learning. And we're looking to now integrate the two programs so that all training will include both. In tandem. And also very important to know is that, while we've been working largely with educators, but there's been a significant amount of frontline worker CBCT community that we've built, whether it is with frontline workers for tuberculosis in the district of Indore, whether it is the palliative care workers in the
Anganwadi workers.
The Anganwadi workers, and we've now just started work with the police. So we're very excited. We're working in an entire district in Maharashtra with police who are actually saying care for the police. So that's something that we're looking forward to and seeing how that evolves. And finally, I think one very important piece is really youth flourishing and looking at youth as in higher education, and how do we bring to them that agency for really taking charge of their own well-being and giving them the skills, equipping them with the skills. So finally, we just end by just sharing, I think what's really important for all of us to recognize, and particularly Neha and me in the last 7 years, is really the shift that we see is not just the potential to be able to transfer knowledge to your students or others, but it's about what it means when you invest in your own team, in your own organization, so that you begin to see the ripples evolving. What does a ripple require? It requires a certain force, and that is a disruptive force. And that force is really has the potential to create consistent peaks and troughs as it kind of widens its radar of influence. So our hope is really to deepen and widen the reach of every organization that takes e-learning and CBCT into their culture. Thank you.
Oh, there are so many people. So scary. Yeah. Okay. Okay. I would like to share our story about how we implemented e-learning in Mongolia. And of course, every context, every background is different. So many of you know that Mongolia had its own challenges, especially during the socialist time when in 1930s, over 700 monasteries were destroyed. And every time when I say this, it just makes me a bit emotional. Over 20,000 monks were killed in Mongolia. And since the time for Mongolia was for several generations, it was a big challenge. How to restore our mindfulness, ethical discernment, our awareness, and all the compassion that we had from Buddhism for centuries, and still we challenge that. And many of you probably remember this article which was published after the launch of e-learning in 2019, and article called the Dalai Lama's Gift to Humanity. And we really wanted to share this gift to Mongolian kids because it is very meaningful this time, because Mongolian kids also face lots of hardships and stress, as a mental illness. Also, compassion is needed in Mongolia too. So, so we really wanted to bring to every Mongolian child, and for post-socialist countries like Mongolia, it is very difficult to implement not integrating it to the national curriculum. In private schools, you can have e-learning without a problem, but if you want to reach 80% of Mongolian students, you just have to integrate it to the national program. That's why we wanted to bring e-learning as a support of the development of socio-emotional skills at every level. And if you look at this, you can see that we started adopting e-learning play, and we adopted it to the preschool curriculum, national curriculum. Also, before that, we started also adopting to over 60, 70 schools in Mongolia, and majority of them were public schools, and we tried to integrate to the socio-emotional curriculum. And you can see that from the elementary, secondary, high school curriculum, and also we are now we're focusing to high schools, high education levels, to universities, to technical vocational institutions, and also to the University of Education. We are planning to integrate to the curriculum of the educational university, also collaborate with the education university on research and other aspects of the practices. So for the last 2 years, we had strategic priorities. We had to come up with the strategic priorities because in Mongolia, we often change the government. And because of that, the political situation is not very stable. And because of that, like maximum 2 years, we have the one minister who will be replaced or can be replaced. So the main thing for us is even the political situation is challenging, we have to integrate to the national curriculum. Every 10 years, once in 10 years, we update the national curriculum. And the latest one has this part, which is called social-emotional learning for the first time in its history. And we offered C-learning framework, and now the C-learning framework in the national program. So all the domains and all the framework that you saw before, it is in the Mongolian national curriculum. So I think that's one of the main achievements for us because we have the curriculum, we have the content, and the framework is in the national curriculum. So there's no option, they just have to take that. The second, okay. I thought my voice is too weak, so I decided to be loud. Okay, so we also had we had to focus on the school implementation, on teacher professional development. Also, we are very lucky to have a research and development unit with help of Emory University Convention Center. And also, we wanted to focus more on bringing C-learning outside of school, not inside the classroom. So the parents and caregivers also had an opportunity to learn about C-learning. So from here you can see that how we worked at the national curriculum. For that we had a series of public consultations, and we also participated in developing the methodology recommendations, and which were started in 2024. Also in school implementation, over 48,000, almost now like it's more than 50,000 students are receiving C-learning. And these are just statistics, numbers, but they're very important for us. And especially last year we started a pilot project among the 3 schools to learn about how this works. If we will conduct C-learning throughout, if we will adapt to the school values, value system and the culture. So for that we initiated these activities. So from here you can see that we even started the Children's Psychology Club. So we also now have over 1,300 educators who were trained by C-learning, and currently we have certified 62 facilitators, and this summer another 40 will join us. And also to increase the accessibility and sustainability, we created a learning management system called C-Learning, MN, and now it has 2 languages, one in Mongolian and one in Russian. So in Mongolia we have some Russian secondary schools. So the educator training now in Russian, so they can also learn in Russian. Also, to support the well-being of our teachers, we created almost 3 years ago now, the Happy Teacher app. We are changing the interface, but it is actually, it has check-ins if you want to see. And also it has some meditations based on C-learning content, so the teachers can practice. And we tried to implement schools based on the evidences. So we have the research team, and at the end I will show the video that was sent yesterday. They're doing the qualitative research in some schools, And also we have a small video that I can share. And here you can see that on the last day we invited over 500 parents and caregivers to give them a knowledge how to be parents with C-learning. Okay, so of course we have lots of findings, but we noticed that those teachers who have strong emotional resilience, they also changed the whole classroom. And also we found that we have to aim school, not only the teachers, but also their leaders, their parents, leaders, and even staff. So I would like to, I don't know how to play that. Is it possible to, can I play?
Анхаарал төвлөрөөгүй нэг үсний бэлэнхтэй устай зүйл чаараа анхаарал төвлөрсөн үйл цэвэрстэй зүйл. Ямар надад
This is a very short video, but I would like to end here. Yeah, thank you for your attention. Okay.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Minh Trang from Heart and Mind Education, HME for short, the Remedy Affiliate of C-Learning and CBCT Vietnam. On behalf of HME, I'm very grateful to be here today to share with you about our journey, C-Learning Vietnam. The first time I came to Dharamsala was in 2017 to attend Asia teaching with His Holiness Dalai Lama. At that time, I had just transitioned from business to education, feeling both excited and uncertain for the future ahead. At the beginning, At the beginning of teaching, His Holiness Dalai Lama says, education and healthcare are the two sectors that benefit for the being. These words touched my heart and strengthened my belief of choosing education to promote the children. And then, in 2020, when the COVID pandemic approached across the world, many countries locked down, and my school also was closed. The Tibetan Buddhist Center organized Asia teaching through online, and I'm very lucky to have the precious opportunity to dialogue with His Holiness Dalai Lama. How can I put it? Yes. Yes, here's. Answer to my question about education, his advice of the most important that raising the children is educating the heart and mind. That inspired me and my teachers. So after that, thanks to Anila, a nun who serves as an interpreter of His Holiness Dalai Lama, she connected to me, and thanks to that, I can approach, learn, and practice C-learning and apply to the daily activity of myself first. Recognizing its value, during the COVID, I used C-learning to support my teacher and parent to practice via Zoom every week together. We connect together with compassion, building religion, and overcome the COVID pandemic together because of the C-learning. That's why after COVID when we apply C-learning into the school directly, and then Heart and Mind Education were born. 2 years from the day Professor Lapsang Tenzin Negi and Sundu Sampo came to Vietnam to launch C-learning Vietnam in 2024, We do so many activities to promote sea learning in Vietnam. And now I would like to invite you to see a short documentary video about sea learning in order you can listen to the voice of our children, parents, and teachers. Somebody help me? Okay, thank you.
Thường mệt mỏi, ba mẹ lại mắng vì bài thi. Bạn bè ai cũng giỏi, chỉ có mình là thật tệ. Cuộc sống thật áp lực, sao không ai hiểu mình?
Today's modern world is advancing rapidly, yet it is also marked by crises and deep wounds. Stress, anxiety, and fractured connections are threatening the mental well-being of young people. 2023 National Adolescent Mental Health Survey conducted by UNICEF revealed that up to 20% of children and adolescents experience mental health issues. Yet, only 8.4% of them have access to support services or counseling for emotional and behavioral challenges. It is estimated that as many as 3 million children aged 12 and above are in need of psychological and psychiatric support services. According to the data from the Ministry of Education and Training in 2022, more than 1,600 cases of school violence were reported, and 68.4% of children aged 1 to 14 had experienced violence within the family. A society on the rise is also being swept away by endless waves of violence. What can help us heal or nurture a happier generation? In 2020, when the pandemic broke out, cities went into lockdown and schools were forced to close for an extended period of time. Small online classrooms became the only thread of connection between teachers and students. Yet, through the screens, anxiety and loneliness became even more evident. Many children lost the joy of going to school. Teachers were exhausted, and parents were overwhelmed by pressure. The breakdown in connection drove mental stress to unprecedented levels. It was during the pandemic, when schools were shut down, that Heart and Mind Education, a social and educational enterprise, was founded in Vietnam. We were born from a deep belief that every child deserves a holistic education, one that nurtures intellect, emotions, social skills, and ethical values, one that builds resilience to overcome life's challenges, and one that cultivates profound compassion. Our mission is to serve as a bridge of harmony, accompanying, supporting, and caring for the educational community, where children, parents, and teachers, caregivers are connected, nurtured, and able to grow in understanding, love, and respect. By bringing sea learning, social, emotional, and ethical learning, a foundation for cultivating compassion and resilience, to Vietnam, Heart and Mind Education aspires to contribute to building a transformative education, one that not only nourishes the mind but also cares for the joyful heart.
Thì những lúc giống như ba hoặc là mẹ mà giận nhau hay là không vui thì bé lại nói mẹ ơi, hay là mẹ uống một ly nước đi, hay mẹ vào phòng khách để nghỉ một mình một chút, 10 phút sau mẹ hãy gặp ba nha. Thì những cái điều đó làm cho mình thấy rất là vui, và nó cũng như là nhắc nhở mình về các cái buổi học sea learning tại trường tổ chức.
As a holistic curriculum for the development of body, mind, and intellect, grounded in the science compassion, sea learning promotes social, emotional, and ethical learning in classrooms, from early childhood through K-12 education around the world. The program was developed by the Center for Contemplative Science and Compassion-Based Ethics at Emory University, USA. Building on the foundation of social and emotional learning, sea learning strengthens attention and awareness, cultivates compassion grounded in scientific research, develops a secular approach to ethics, and introduces trauma-informed resilience practices while expanding systems thinking. Quietly, yet powerfully, sea learning has been planting seeds of compassion in every child, every school, and every family it reaches. Children learn to value their emotions, to pause, breathe, name their feelings, and to self-regulate under stress. Children learn to share after moments of anger, discovering empathy and kindness. Teachers learn to care for themselves and find balance because only happy teachers can nurture happy students. Parents learn to accompany their children with more listening rather than pressure or criticism. Many parents have shared with emotion. It was my child who reminded me to stay calm and kind. Those small seeds are growing each day, creating joyful classrooms, nurturing family with deeper connections, and fostering a compassionate community. Already present in more than 170 countries and reaching millions of students worldwide, Sea Learning has now come to Vietnam to provide strong support for teachers, students, families, and communities in caring for mental well-being.
Lớp học cảm thấy vui vẻ và ấm áp hơn. Đối với cô Tuyền, Sea Learning mang lại rất nhiều lợi ích cho bản thân, giúp chan hòa các mối quan hệ xung quanh, được mọi người yêu thương, quý mến. Cô Tuyền cảm thấy rất hạnh phúc khi được tiếp cận với Sea Learning.
From its very first small steps, Sea Learning Vietnam has now touched the lives of more than 3,500 students, over 500 educators, and hundreds of parents. This has been, is, and will continue to be a meaningful journey, a journey of building happy schools to nurture happy children. Educating the heart and the mind is the true power to transform society. We are not only teaching knowledge, but also teaching children to love themselves and others. Sea Learning Vietnam believes that it takes a happy village to raise a happy child. And from there, together, we can nurture generations of happiness, be mindful, and understand themselves, self-compassion for independence and confidence, strengthen inner resilience, open their hearts with compassion, compassion for others, nurture harmony with people and all beings.
Sea Learning, sowing happiness, nurturing compassion, education, the heart and mind. Together, let's nurture a world of compassion and wisdom.
For your question. So last month we are very honored to welcome Representative Jinegi and Sun Dusambu come again Vietnam on their third visit. And together we introduced 10 models of integration, Sea Learning into traditional education, project-based learning, Japanese early childhood education, music, arts, and even intensive education for the children who have the special needs. Together with the partner world from Singapore, Malaysia, and Thailand, we continue to develop the CBCT and introduce it to the hospital leader in order we can promote that. And because it truly takes a village to raise a child, it's of us as others. We need to nurture compassion within ourselves, and together we will build a kinder and compassionate in order we can build a more compassionate for the future generation. And lastly, on behalf of HME, I would like to offer my deepest gratitude for all the goodness and benefit that we create together that dedicate for every child, every people, and all living being. Thank you.
Hello. Good evening, everyone. I'm Intan Asmara, and I'm come from Indonesia. And maybe our presentations will not be as that interactive, like a lot of videos, things like that, because nobody's doing it. And also, we're not talking about plan for the future because we have no plan yet. But before I start, I don't come alone. I come here like accompanied by my friends there, maybe Gabor, Chelsea, Ina, and Sally. Please stand up so everybody can see you. Stand up. So yeah, they come from Sea Learning Indonesia, and they're really the one who work hard to introduce Sea Learning in Indonesia. Maybe before I start, so do this next, like this. Okay. Before I start the presentation, I would like to introduce you to Manuel, Simon, and Aloysius. They are middle school students from West Papua. No, they're not still learning students yet. I just want to share this. But I just want to share this because their story went viral like a couple of weeks ago. Because Manuel, Simon, and Aloysius asked permission to stay at the schools for 5 days, so they won't be late for the national exam. You know, a bit of a background in terms of infrastructure in Papua is still quite limited. 3 of them, they need to walk like 3 hours from their village to the schools, and then go back 3 hours from the school to their home. So there's this national exam, and they're asking permission whether they can stay instead, so they don't miss the exams. The reason why I share this story because I just want to paint, a picture that how diverse Indonesia is. So Indonesia is not just about Jakarta and Bali. So we are very diverse in terms of the geography, culture, language, and also like economic realities. But however, if you can see from Manuel, Simon, and Aloysius, even though there is these challenges, they are still like very determined to pursuing education. There are a lot of students like that in Indonesia. Next. Okay, so it's a vast country with more than 270 million, less than India, I think, yeah. But we have like around 17,000 islands in Indonesia, very diverse cultures and beliefs, and infrastructure and structural challenges as well, you just mentioned, and also increasing social and emotional challenges. But however, compassion is not something new for Indonesia. They said that like over 1,000 years ago, a great master from India, Atisadi Pankara, actually sailed from India to Indonesia to Sriwijaya to learn bodhicitta. So yeah, that's why I said that it is like based on that. It is a kind reminder that compassion is not something new. It has long been rooted in the culture of Indonesia, inspired by their legacy that Learning Indonesia was born, with a small beginning and a big visions. So it started in 2025, yes, exactly like a year ago. We just know a year ago, yeah, like 1.5 years ago almost. We began very humble, like only one class, a pilot program, one class, 23 students. I think Chelsea and Ina is the one with the facilitators for only 2 facilitators, certified facilitators at that time. And we just meet like once a week for 14 weeks. And then I think at that time, the objective is very obvious. We just want to observe and explore how the learning could be brought into early childhood while learning how to adapt and also like improve in the future if we want to expand. And yet within this small circle, the vision for something bigger started to take roots. So as you can see here, sorry, I just missed this. One note. The initiative has continued to grow since January 2025. We expand to organizations such as Akar Cinta Kasih Foundations, which actually support the children with HIV and AIDS in Bali. The team has created a space that the children could learn compassion, resilience, and also awareness, and feel safe to be themselves. In July 2025, a second public elementary schools in Kalusa joined in. We introduced e-learning training for the teachers and also like weekly programs for the children. And there are more until today. So since January till May, there are more coming up. So in just 1 year, imagine that I said earlier that only have one class, 2 facilitators. I think by 2026, we're going to have 27 C-Learning L1 facilitators. So thank you so much for Sondula and also Jillian already trained us, and hopefully we all got satisfied. And then and also 5 CBCT teachers. Hopefully I got certified, Leslie. I forgot my assignment, I already submitted to you. So, in just 1 year that there's like 45 educators, community members across Indonesia have completed the Getting Started Live. So we now have in total like more than 200 students and also like 67 plus teachers reach 4 schools, public and also like private, more than 10 community partners. And then I think in addition, we have translated finally the early elementary curriculum and companion book into Bahasa Indonesia. This is an important step for empowering local teachers in Indonesia and opening the access of SEER learning in Indonesia. What's more, moving forward, Sally here is working so hard to introduce SEER learning in the orphanage in West Java. So from Bali, we go to West Java. 8 to 20 years old orphanage students in Bogor will begin the SEER learning journey. And more than 100 teachers in West Papua will begin the SEER learning Getting Started training. And hopefully, students like Manuel, Simons, and Aloysius that you just met at the beginning of the presentations will benefit more from SEER learning. And then it has been quite a journey for all of us and the team, or the very small team. Then in terms of number, maybe we think that we have grown so much from 2 facilitators to 27. In terms of number, yes, we have grown. But then there's these questions, like we often discuss and reflecting ourselves on a deeper questions, like how do we truly measure impact? So is it simply in numbers, or is there something else talking about? So I just remember a story that Chelsea shared to me. Thank you so much, Chelsea, for sharing the stories. It calls SEER learning and the roosters. So yeah, it's a bit lengthy. Maybe I don't want to read it, but I'll read it out for you. SEER learning and the roosters. One day while walking through Kalusa, I saw 2 roosters fighting while a group of children stood nearby watching. You have to understand that cockfighting is culturally present in a village, so the children naturally associated the situations with that behavior and were very excited to watch the fight. I felt sad seeing it, so I took the bottle of water I was carrying and gently poured water over both roosters. And after getting water on their heads and bodies, they stopped fighting and separated from each other. I then turned to the children and say, "No bullying." Immediately the children respond, "SEER learning, SEER learning." Wow, so the children apparently had participated in the activities in schools, and it was beautiful to see them connect the idea of nonviolence and compassion with what they had learned through SEER learning. Well, Kalusa is a small village, and it's approximately 4,000 residents. In making moments like this, it's meaningful because it shows that learning, it can go beyond the classroom and into daily activities. So, there are many stories like this. Actually, there's a girl that said that she felt the kindness for the first time when she did the Junaka kindness drawing. So those stories really sink into her heart and mind and got us thinking. We reflect on what impact truly is. Perhaps impact is not really measured through the numbers, but whether the classroom itself, whether the learning itself extends beyond the classroom. Or perhaps what we call by impact is creating spaces where children, I must add here, it's not only children and teachers feel seen, feel safe, and also valued and cared for. So perhaps this is the meaningful impact that we are looking for, because as His Holiness the Dalai Lama said that if education is an instrument, so it depends on the hands and also the heart that guide it. And perhaps the real work is for us, all the community leaders, all the educators, everyone that shares the same vision and same belief, is learning how to embody it together. I think that's all from Indonesia.
Oh, wow, you're beautiful from over here. I brought my water. There are a lot of reminders throughout. The rooster's the most recent, so I'm taking this one so I can ground myself right before I begin. So I want to acknowledge my dear colleague, May Engelhardt, who's here with me. She's been on this ride for many years, and this is her first time here in Dharamsala. So I'm just overjoyed that you're here with me. And of course, we all have Mays. She's very unique and special. In addition to CBCT, she also creates jewelry based on our framework. So I'm wearing some, and if you want to check them out, please know that they're based on C Learning, and this is the group that might understand what our jewelry is all about. So, I'd like to begin with a quote by His Holiness. My story here is one of one institution with 5 schools. So my dear colleagues who just went, you all are on a grand scale, countrywide. And I'm so inspired by your work and what you're doing. And hopefully this story will kind of dig in a little deeper into what it looks like at the institutional level. And hopefully there'll be a takeaway for those of us who are new on the path or who are growing on our path. The quote here is, ultimately any system can only be as effective as the individuals responsible for its implementation. If, owing to failures of personal integrity, a good system is misused, it can easily become a source of harm rather than a source of benefit. This insight that systems are only as strong as the people who embody them resonates deeply at Woodward Academy. We have a 125-year young history in this context. Founded as a Georgia military academy, our institution has survived world wars, depressions, pandemics, and the eras of profound social change. What's remained constant is a belief in education that forms not just minds, the whole person, an idea also at the heart of John Dewey's work. The philosophy that education is not preparation for life, but life itself, which is very familiar with some of you who are nodding here. Shaping character, citizenship, and the capacity to engage in democracy with both reason and empathy. A preparation of the head and the heart. So this through line resonates deeply with us who had the opportunity to be with His Holiness this morning. For those of us in this work, the head and heart integration is at its core. So those threads and through lines are so important to lift up. What is education for is at the heart of this inquiry. That conviction only deepened in recent years. During the pandemic, we sent a resilience survey out to our community. And we were really interested in understanding what was happening. So we saw the Zoom images, but we don't know what's happening there. We were concerned about our students, our families, and we also found a tremendously sobering truth that even in a well-resourced community such as ours, silent suffering was present. Depression, anxiety, and isolation were not exceptions. They were part of the daily life. If we were truly going to live our mission of preparing caring and compassionate global citizens, we had to do more than offer rigorous academics. We had to address well-being at its foundation. So here's our context here. You can see it's quite diverse. And here's our mission statement with caring and compassionate global citizens emboldened there. We know this doesn't happen by accident. And thankfully, with the research, we know that creating caring and compassionate global citizens can be broken down into a skill set that can be cultivated deliberately. So at this time, we also shifted into an accreditation process and a strategic planning process. And we asked a bold question. And it's quite aspirational, actually. I'm not sure if we even thought it was achievable at the time. What would it take to eliminate depression and anxiety at Woodward? The answer was clear. Social, emotional, and ethical learning could no longer be treated as an add-on. It's completely inadequate to meet the challenge. This is not an initiative. It's not a program. It's an infrastructure. We looked inward and found seeds already here, another SEL program, responsive classroom, in the lower school, C-learning and practices woven into select classes, the work of our counselors and our interfaith focus, CBCT was offered to faculty by certified peers, such as May, and the next step was to build internal capacity. It was a restructure, really. An investment, as our dear ones just shared. As a result of our plan, all employees are asked to complete C101. And by all employees, we're also asking our facilities individuals to engage in it if they'd like to. We're an interdependent system, right? Our administrators, very important. Each of our 5 schools now has a C team who meet regularly as an academy-wide C professional learning community. So in that space is where we pour into them. We pour into those who pour into others. We hold intensive planning retreats and engage as thought partners. We reveal to each other what allowed for us to move into the path of being educators in the first place, keeping that origin alive. So we have 6 certified C-learning facilitators as well, partnering with our dear Emory University, 3 CBCT instructors, and including an academy-wide psychologist, counselors, and teaching faculty, all in the PLC who meets regularly, and then a growing network of educators who are deeply in the work of the community resiliency model. Some of those are certified, including 10 of our counselors. Together, they support an integration across divisions and guide adult practice, because research is clear: student well-being and teacher adult well-being are inseparable. To date, more than 4,400 students and over 1,000 faculty and staff have engaged with C-Learning and CBCT. With over 2,500 students currently enrolled, every child and every adult now has access to shared practices that strengthen compassion, resilience, and ethical discernment. We've extended CBCT beyond the classrooms and brought in Compassion U as well to facility staff, development, bus drivers, marketing, communications, and administration, so the work permeates the whole system. And we are beginning to talk differently, ask new questions, lean in and have necessary conversations, expand our everyday ethics, and as His Holiness urges, we investigate, investigate, investigate. And we're seeing an impact. A lower school student shared, "I learned how not to explode in my thoughts and express myself better." How wonderful, the language is there. Yeah. I would also follow up with, and what did that feel like on the inside? Now let's shift and stay. Yes. An upper school student reflected, I realize that I'm faced with stressors every day, and how I respond is up to me. That gets at the heart of what Geshe Lobsang was saying last night. We build awareness, make visible, and what we're really hoping to do is to create the causes and conditions that allow for choices to be made deliberately. And with Jai, who lives with generalized anxiety disorder, he shared, I find that I'm more myself when my mind is emptier, freer of worry. These voices illustrate movement, a shift, perhaps from awareness to the seeds of agency, exactly the developmental growth that our portrait of a learner envisions, another accompanying framework that helps us set our course of what we're all doing, what our goal is. This culture shift is co-created. We support teachers who are asking themselves the very questions we encourage students to ask. Students from the earliest grades create agreements about how they want to be together, living documents they revisit, refine, and hold one another compassionately accountable to. Compassion becomes a practiced capability, not an aspiration. Ethical discernment emerges choice by choice. Woodward is showing that when a school invests strategically in compassion, education, aligning leadership, structures, and culture, that it can begin to transform not only classrooms, but an entire community expanding outwards. And in doing so, we join His Holiness's vision of education that prepares the next generation not only to succeed, but to engage as global citizens, wisely, ethically, and compassionately. Thank you all so much.
All right, we're going to be setting up for our panel Q&A now, and we'll hear a little bit more from some of our speakers, and we also have a new speaker that will be joining us shortly that I will introduce. And so if you want to take a minute to just stretch, get your energy up, but then we're going to finish off the night. Thank you so much.
참말로 공로딜레 쉐이 단단히 세라지 쉐요 단단 아주 피게 초다칸데 페비 단다 냔슈반 넘버에 타나 생각서 페디 메선스 cohort C learning facilitators 아니 타나 생각서 단다 텐진 잔수 summer retreat 디종 아주 participant 종 아주 단다 디 람든 츠자이지요 아디 수수 빌딩 지무지 상인디 남페로나 쉐인 상인나니 남페 항아주 올라야 스칸 유에바이 아니 스칸 라이트 스피다니 남아주 디 스틸렌스 조슈아디 아주 상인 연구즈 쉐인라이 로소
Good.
Only
All right, thank you all for your patience. All right, we have a new member that's going to be joining our panel as speaker that I would love to introduce. This is Telo Rinpoche, is a respected Buddhist teacher and the founder of the DHF in Mongolia, where he promotes compassion, kindness, and nonviolence through educational and community initiatives. He previously served as an honorary representative of His Holiness the Dalai Lama in Russia, Mongolia, and the CIS countries, and has played a key role in restoring Buddhist culture and education in Kalmykia as well, too. So welcome to the stage.
Thank you.
And you all know our wonderful affiliates that have been speaking earlier as well, too. And it's so inspiring to hear of the work that they're doing and the impact that they're having in their countries and settings. And they're all a little bit different, but so meaningful. And it's an honor to work with all of you and to move this vision forward as well, too. So we'll go ahead and get started, and we'll start with the need for sea learning. And so Reshma and Jen, this question is for you. Can you share the specific need or gap that you saw in your community that sea learning helped to address?
Thank you. I think one of the most important things that we recognized quite in the beginning, because COVID's disruptor actually amplified it for us, was the fact that teachers required as much as students did the skills to take care of themselves, to regulate themselves, to show up in classes day in and day out. And I think that recognition was a big aha moment for us, because we began to see how integral classroom culture, the climate of the classroom is, and how the teacher dictates that climate of the classroom. So really seeing that need and being able to support teachers, not just in skills saying, hey, learn this and then please take it and, disseminate it into your classrooms, but really helping them have a personal practice of their own and begin to embody those very skills or those very traits that we hope the students will also begin to model. So I would say yes, seeing teachers as being taken care of as much as wanting to transmit and transfer these skills into to their students. Thank you.
Thank you. Jen, go ahead, please.
Sure. Oh. Jen? Oh, Tran. Okay. Sorry. I'd love to hear your answer.
You can go next too if you'd like to answer this question, no problem.
So, in addition to the silent suffering that I mentioned and the infrastructure add-on capacity, I also have adult well-being and student well-being are intertwined. And the additional piece that I'd like to talk about is really connected to our pedagogical model in sea learning, from received knowledge to critical insight, to explore that, investigate from multiple perspectives so that those insights deepen to embodied understanding. So I think in the creation of sea learning, as a team member, along with some here in this room, we knew that the constructivist approach was quite a large leap. However, and one that could meet the needs of context and diversity of context. So meeting students where they are, teachers where they are, within a context that may be quite different from the place where those materials were created. So I think we really underestimated what that looks like actually in terms of scaffolding teachers into how to make that happen in the classroom. So in addition to that, we have kind of an obsession, I think, with the optics. Like if we see something visual on the walls that represent sea learning, then we are engaging in sea learning. But when you map that visibility in the hallways via bulletin boards or those, that's wonderful. But where I sort of see limitation there is that we see then that if we have that as the checkbox, then we've completely missed the pedagogical model and the spaciousness and the time and the investment that it takes to get to know one another, to build trust. And even to, so I'm identifying this as bridging the gap between the told and the lived. And how do we take a motto, for example, ours is excellence, character, and opportunity. We also have something called the Woodward Way, which is respect ourselves, respect each other, and respect the classroom and the community. Well, our students can recite those things. But when we ask them, what does it look like? What does it sound like? We got blank stares, or we got, don't do this, don't push your friend. So we were actually seeing that those mottos, as well as the Woodward Way, were being used as a behavior management tool. And so we had a lot more work to do in terms of creating the what we do want to be. And then how do we now engage in that accountability practice so that that is now in the hands of choice making on the part of the students and not so much dictation by the teachers. But that's a two-way process, and it's quite a cultural shift.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Did you want to answer this one as well, Min Chang, or would you like to go to the next question? Next one? Okay. All right, so we'll move on to the impact now that we spoke a little bit about the need. And so I'll ask Min Chang and Telo Rinpoche, how has C-learning impacted educators, students, or your organization as a whole?
Okay, can you hear me? Wrongly speaking, when we implementation in the school, there are lots of challenges. When the teacher is not ready to learn about the C-learning, because they have to work very hard from the morning until afternoon. So before we are doing with them, we have to prepare everything. For example, we save the time for the weekend with the food, everything before we start for the training. And the other thing that is the mindset of the leader of the school, it's not so easy when they learn C-learning together with the teacher. Yeah, so that's the reason why when we do the pilot school, we have to change the approach way. Following the curriculum of C-learning, of course, but when we do the implementation, we have to create some activity based on the culture of the school. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think the impact C-learning has made in Mongolia, I kind of like to probably over-exaggerate sometimes. I think the impact is, there's no way that we can really measure the impact. At the same time, have we made a difference in the last 4 or 5 years since the launch of the C-learning curriculum? Yes, we have. We have made an impact. I think the impact that we're making is not only on students, but also in educators. And now, as the presentation has shown, we're going to the parents, their guardians. So, it's I don't want to say it's at a very slow pace, but for the size of Mongolia and the population, which is only 3.5 million, we're doing good. We're in 62 schools. We got 62 facilitators, 40 additionals that are going to be added by in the next month or so, and we have 800 schools to cover, so which is a long way to go. But you have to understand how the size of Mongolia, the climate of Mongolia. We are. Summertime or warm season is so short that we can't go out to the rural areas to give the C-learning training to the educators. We got September is the beginning of the school year, September's, everybody's busy, new class, new teacher, everything. Then we got October, November. Those are 2 months that we are able to go out to the rural areas. By December, all the roads are blocked. It's icy, it's rain, snowing, so we can't go out until, December, January, February. We're pretty much stuck in the city. And then, March comes along, then we start preparation going out, and we have another month and a half to go out and make a difference. And by mid-May, everybody's preparing for the exams and summer holidays. And so, am I satisfied? Yes, I am very satisfied by how much we have done in the last 4 to 5 years. And, and also I'm very eager to advance, more quickly and as soon as possible, because we have many wonderful things to do. So, yes, I hope I answered that. Yeah.
Yes, you definitely did. Thank you. It's inspiring, all the work that our affiliates are doing. I know that one of my favorite parts of the job is when I get to go to the site visits and I get to see Sea Learning in action. It's always very moving and exciting to see. It definitely energizes me as well, too. So my next question is related to that, and it's going out to Intan and to Jen as well, too. So what has been one of the most meaningful moments or stories you've witnessed implementing Sea Learning?
Okay, talking about stories, I have many stories like that. Sea Learning and the roosters. And also Sea
We
Learning
love
and
those stories. Get going.
Yeah, and it doesn't come from me. All the teachers are here. So yeah, it's talking about stories, right? About the impact and the stories. And then I think we have many stories. Like apart from what I just shared, there's also like these boys who really likes to bully. In one of the schools in Kulusa, is that right? Mas, correct. They correct it. So he really likes to bully. So it really been a hassle for the students in the classroom because he's such a bully. And then one day he skipped this class. And that one day we have this activity of the kindness drawing, the kindness drawing, and he skipped the class. And then the next day, the next sessions that he came, he's the only one who has not done the kindness drawing. So we provide opportunity to him to do the kindness drawing, and then he did it, like quite diligently he did it, and then. Please share to the other students. And surprisingly, to his surprise, that the other students that he bullied all this time really listen and really take a good attention of what he's saying. So he was quite surprised of that. And then what we have seen after that this some kind of change of behavior is not that bullying anymore. Like the class has become more peaceful right now. He kind of changed their behavior. So small things like that we thought this is an impact of Sea Learning. And also not only from the students' perspective, but also from the teacher's perspective. The teacher's perspective, the Sea Learning is kind of meaningful for them because it helps them to run the daily activities. Like in terms of how they deal with people, not only in the classroom, like they deal socialize with other people in their family. Even like one of the teachers said to me that he has a better love relationships because of Sea Learning. So that kind of thing that building up from the students and the teachers, and starting from that, it creates a more a safe environment. And it impacts trickle down into the whole society and maybe eventually the whole country, just because of that one. Yeah.
Thank you.
Can I answer this question? I want to
Yes,
share with
please.
you about the story of my kindergarten student. It's just only 3 years old, but they recognize the emotion of their friends very naturally. So one day, then one new students come and they cry. So the kid talk to the friend, just do with me, the put the word. Do you remember Have No Tragedy? Yes, they have their friend to do that. And a lot of parents sometimes take to me or send a video for me. The children come back home and teach the parent how to practice. And one story, a mother very feel burnout at the work and come back home, and she asked her mother, "Why you feel so sad?" We write out everything that make you sad, and then she rolled away that paper, and she asked her mother, "Now what your sensation right now?" So amazing. It's such a lot of story like this in the school. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing. And Jen, would you like to go?
Sure, less time. Do we want to?
No, you can go ahead. Yeah.
So I'll sort of pull out to the level of teachers. So we have a new president in our school this year. He's kind of a homegrown president, so many people know who he is, but don't know who he is as a president. And there is a lot of uncertainty at the beginning of the year. Who will he be? What type of leadership will there be? We know that enrollment is down a little bit, so there's stress around that. So we're noticing this within the context of the faculty with whom we're working. And I'm not sure if all of you know the values tree exercise in CBCT, where one creates the value trunk and then the branches, and it's a systems thinking exercise, the fruits. And so we worked with each of the groups of leadership, so all of the faculty engaged in this, over 700 people in various settings. And we discovered that when we unearth the values of each small group, that this becomes a very, very deep anchor in times of change and upheaval. And they've identified that faith overall in different settings was the largest value for the school, and family being second. And faith is not something that we've explicitly welcomed in. So to recognize that and to explicitly welcome that in as an aspect of who you are and what you bring and what you draw upon, and then how we might respect each other's. It's an initiation of a conversation that for many years I think was just right under the surface. So we have a standing ovation for one of our PDs. That never happens. So that was a big moment for us.
Thank you for sharing. These stories and these moments really turn into like nurturing moments for me and resources. So it really brings a smile to my face, and I'm sure all of you all as well too, to kind of hear this of sea learning in action and the impact it's having from, you know, educators and from students as well too. So this next question is for Reshma and Tela Rinpoche as well too. How do you see sea learning influencing not only the classrooms but the broader community as well too?
Ladies first.
So maybe we can talk about an aspiration here, really. I'll be very honest, it's not easy. And transformation, as we all know, takes time. Habits are very difficult to change. And I always love to remind myself, and I often share with people, that when large companies who sell soap and shampoos and things like that spend billions of dollars to get people to change soap buying habits, we expect change to happen overnight or in short periods of time, and that's not going to happen. But the aspiration always is that can we begin to introduce and sow seeds, but more importantly, cultivate and create the right climate, soil, fertility, and so on and so forth, which in sea learning is translated as really creating an entire community or an entire cadre to support that cultivation, which begins with self first. And I think that's really important for us to recognize and acknowledge, because as long as we don't embody or we don't invest in communities and building those communities of practice within an organization, the classroom will not necessarily change in the manner in which we want. They won't these won't be enduring capabilities. So I think the aspiration is like everyone here to really say that, you know what, this has transformed an entire culture, and may every single school in every single district be able to take it. But realistically, even if we have, as we said, you know, these small epicenters that begin to really ripple out and create these spheres of influence, I think human behavior is such that what is he doing that I'm not doing? What does he have that I don't have? And hopefully having that opportunity to not just share but also to learn from these strongholds. And I would say that is the dream aspiration, to begin small baby steps.
Thank you.
Sorry, what was the question again?
The question is, how do you see C-learning influencing not only your classroom, but the broader community and families as well, too?
Okay, so I'll try to speak very quickly. You know, I've been in and out of Mongolia since 1991. And, you know, as an outsider, you see a shift in how people think. You know, and there's a trend. You know, there's, one, part of a decade, people can be very spiritual. One part of a decade, they can be very, westernized. You know, it's been ever changing since I first came to Mongolia. And there has been a lot of requests for me to come to Mongolia, do something, implement some, projects, or do something in that nature. Mm-hmm. And as somebody who has a title of a Rinpoche or reincarnated person, I mean, we're all reincarnated, aren't we, right? But somebody that has a special title, they have that expectation. You come, serve the Dharma, do something Buddhist, build a monastery or something like that. I did that in Russia for 30 years. I built over 32 monasteries, across Russia. And I'm looking at Mongolia and I'm saying, does Mongolia need that or not? And I've spoken to many different age groups. And I've seen how their mentality and how their culture has changed. And, later on I said, well, Mongolia doesn't need another monastery. They're thinking differently. They're behaving differently. Mm-hmm. Their culture is very different. So what is it that we can offer that it will benefit the general public? Not in the next 5-10 years, but also in the generations to come. And boom, the global launch happened. I quickly put together a small team from Mongolia, Russia, and and we went to the global launch. And I said to my group, I said, well, what do you guys think? We have one of our first time, Professor Daksama, can you please stand up? Yeah. She, she came to the Global Buddhist launch, and, at the end of the launch, she was even more excited than me. She was saying, we got to have this, we got to have this. And I said, whoa. Let's slow down a little bit. Well, we need to translate the books. Who's going to do that? She said, I can find Bujin Lam. She was doing her PhD, yeah. She did everything voluntarily, She worked day and night, She's, as a single parent, doing her PhD and going abroad and, wow. And not forgetting about the C-learning tasks that and the deadlines, we had like-minded people, mm-hmm. That somebody that appreciated the concept, the idea, and the curriculum, and saying, I love this, we need this, we need it for our kids and grandchildren, and, implementing that, So, I think going forward, then we look and say, okay, wow, C-learning is for kids. What about the adults, Boom, CBCT. you know? Then we said, okay, how are we going to do this? You know, so we invited Geshe Nege and Tsundru, you know, over, and you know, and I have a good team of CBCT teachers. Is that what it's called, right? I always get confused. Facilitator, right. Level 1, level 2, level 5, level 15, whatever. You know, it's like coach. You know, yeah. And I got Please stand up. Yeah, CBCT. Yeah. So, you know, these are people that truly believe that, this is what's really needed for the Mongolian society. And, we're trying to, as it says, advancing the vision of His Holiness the Dalai Lama through science, ethics, and compassion. And I think we truly follow this, idea is, advancing it. Mm-hmm. Not only that we're advancing, I think my CBCT is even more advanced than the Emory team, because we're already doing the scientific research. And I think it was just about a month ago, I got an email. It was like, whoa, slow down. We haven't even started yet. And, my team is already starting that, So, secular ethics, I think that's a very humanistic ethic, I think that's a human values, what His Holiness promotes, love, compassion, kindness, these are all human values. And, wherever you go, whether you're religious or non-religious or whatever ethnicity, whatever culture, that's what we are craving for, So I think, it has a bright future, not just C-learning, but also CBCT. It has a very bright future, and and I truly believe that we're all advancing the vision of His Holiness. So in some cases more quickly, but nevertheless we're making our way through.
No, thank you. Thank you for sharing how you're bringing C-learning and CBCT to communities. All right, so Reshma touched a little bit on the challenges in bringing C-learning to your community and your context and setting as well too. And so this question is for Jen and Intan as well. What challenges do you encounter in introducing C-learning, and how did you navigate them?
So these may be two of the questions answered in one. Hopefully that will be helpful.
Okay.
Resistance is a natural part of this process. And it is where all of the curiosity can be applied with deep reflective inquiry. There's a chance that it could be you that's the problem, right? So thinking about resistance with curiosity has been very helpful. Thinking about resistance and various levels. So level 1 being that maybe it's just about not knowing what C-learning is, mm-hmm. right? Of course, we want people to question C-learning, right? Otherwise, it's not going to be a deep process. Level 3, sometimes you can't deal with that. Those are maybe outliers that might be coming on board a little bit later on down the road. So when we focus our attention, I think it's really, really important to shift to resistance as an opportunity for inquiry. And trusting the framework, that deep framework. Every aspect of C-learning is a part of human existence. So it's a shame, I think, when we define C-learning through perhaps only chapter 2 or chapter 1. My deepest work currently is in the ethical dimension, which we maybe don't even get to, right? So this is an ethics curriculum. So we may even engage only in ethical leadership as the focal point. So I think be flexible, knowing that all of that framework suits us. And then reminding ourselves of the context. So I saw this last night in the museum, Tibet Museum, a quote by His Holiness. And I think all of you might answer this universally the same way. The question to His Holiness was, do you believe your time here on earth has been a success? What would we say about His Holiness? Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Are you sure? Yes. It's a confident yes. His answer was, that's relative. it's so difficult to say. All human life is some part failure and some part achievement. So that really speaks to failure again as an opportunity. So if His Holiness can give us this wisdom, I think I can use it as a reservoir to go back to on some just challenging days where people are not so interested in what I'm interested in. Yeah.
Thank you.
Challenges. We have no challenges except the fun. In a serious note, when I first joined and know about sea learning, I thought that it's quite pessimistic because I said earlier that Indonesia is a diverse country with many ethnicity and also like religions and predominantly Muslims. So in my mind, I thought that the challenges is to introduce the concept of sea learning, and also sea learning has the background of the vision of His Holiness Dalai Lama. I thought that can be a challenge to introduce sea learning in a Muslim country, right? But then until now, it has not happened yet. Maybe because we're only in Bali and also in some in Jakarta, it hasn't like touched the whole region yet. But maybe it can be a challenge in the future. However, the current challenge that we face right now is to convince, I think maybe the managements of the schools and some people that if they already have a curriculum or program that is similar with social emotional learning, it's kind of harder to convince that why should I add more? So what's the difference? I already have this, it's working. Why should I use e-learning? Maybe it's something that I think we should be able to answer in a way. And I think that's one of the first challenges that we faced when we started to enter the Jakarta, correct? Yeah, and then I really have not really got the answer yet, but maybe one of the things that we can do is, sorry, it's going to keep sleeping. One of the things that we can do is to show them like evidence, like in marketing, I'm a marketing background. Yeah. So it's just like sachet campaigns. Just give them evidence, give them a taste of what it looks like and it feels. So they know by themselves that what will be contributions to their own. So it's not replacing their own curriculum or their own program. It's just like how to integrate that, how to make it like complementary to whatever that exists in that organizations. I think that's all.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
All right, this next question is for Ming Chang. What advice would you give to others who are just beginning to integrate compassion-based education in their settings? Go ahead, Min.
I think that the personal practice. We have to practice for ourselves first, and then we can inspire the other. Yeah. So that way, when we do with the other school, owner of the school, we would like to train for the leader of the school first, and then go to the teacher. Yeah. And also for the parent also. Yeah. But we have to keep it everyday activity in the school. For example, in my school, the principal and the teacher discuss how to keep the practice always in the school. One teacher said that, every time I come to school, I have to put a shoe in the stair. How can we check in at the moment? So we apply that activities in my school. And the other school, we follow that. And even for the principal, they have the, like you see in the movie, they have the jar to check in for themselves also. They have to do that not only to show for the teacher how to follow, they radiate for themselves. Yeah, that is the most important, I think.
Thank you so much for sharing. All right, this will be the last question for our panel right here. Then I'll open it up for a quick audience Q&A, and then we'll wrap up our session for this evening. All right, so this question is for Telo Rinpoche as well as for Reshma. If you could highlight one key insight or lesson you've learned from your journey with Sea Learning, what would it be?
I'll go first because I'm starting to forget things. What was it again?
A key insight or lesson you've learned from implementing
lesson
Sea
I
Learning.
learned, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the lesson I learned is how innocent, how loving, and how delicate our children are. And this, every time, this reminds me of a girl when we did the pilot, trial of implementation of the Sea Learning into schools. We had 6 schools to start with. And after 1 year, we reported to the minister, and the minister said, maybe he didn't believe. I wasn't there, but anyway, our executive director was at the meeting with the education minister, and he said, well, I'm going to go check it out on my own, right, to see how effective Sea Learning has been, because anybody can write fancy reports, right? So he randomly chose 2 schools, and he randomly showed up. And when he showed up, he wanted to speak only to the kids who were taking the Sea Learning, curriculum, or class. And he met a girl that was, I believe she was 12 years old, if I'm not mistaken. Zaya, correct me if I'm wrong. 8, yeah. And the minister asked him, "What's your favorite subject?" Right? And she responded, "My favorite subject or my favorite class is Sea Learning." And he was taken aback from a 8-year-old. He said, "Why?" And the girl said, "That is the only time that anybody ever listens to me." Yeah. So that shows how delicate they are, how innocent they are, and they're human. They're a tiny little human, and we are responsible for shaping their future. So I think these are moments that you really cherish and inspiring, and makes you want to do good. It doesn't have to be anything that's spiritual or religious, that nature, and everything that is mentioned in CBCT as well as in Sea Learning. It's science-based.
Mm-hmm.
It's science-based. Of course, it has its foundation in some spiritual philosophies, but it's all science-based, and we're talking about evidence, right? Evidence, and this is evidence. Let's not talk about the sophisticated evidence, but let's just look at the true evidence of an 8-year-old girl.
Mm.
So I think these are really touching and moving. And
I've forgotten the question. Can you repeat it again?
It was about any key insights.
Yeah. I'm also foggy in the head.
It's that time of the night.
Yeah, it's that time of the night. I think for Neha and me, one of the most important things is the recognition of the reality of teachers, and particularly in India, the education system. Teachers are very, very burdened. They don't have time. They have many, many other things to do, including things that are actually nothing to do with education, whether it's election duty or census duty and so on and so forth. And then to give them something and say, hey, now master this and take this into your classroom, often can be unrealistic. And while we might say, hey, integrate this, and this should be really the offering, it should be the warp and weft, and it should contaminate. I'm using the word contaminate because of contagion. The very way in which you engage with your classroom is very well to say. So I think one of the key takeaways is how do we integrate and make these into practices, because C-learning is nothing but a set of practices that they can build into their routines. Teachers have routines, schools have routines. So building this is into classroom routines, school routines, so that rather than saying, hey, you know what, I want to do it, but I don't have the time to do it, but to say, how can I begin to start taking it in very, very small ways and really begin to see that as then impregnating your culture and then moving forward. So looking at that as really being key.
Thank you so much. All right, we only have a few. Oh, please applaud. You guys started and I stopped you. All right, we only have a few minutes left for audience Q&A. So do we have any questions in the audience for our wonderful panel guests up here?
Before we do a QA, can I say something?
Yes,
Yeah.
if you would like to say it now.
Yeah, I want to say it now. Like right now. I was like,
I think they're getting you
already. I think it was 4 years ago when we had the C-learning, one of the C-learning conferences here in this building. Was it 4 years ago, right? 2024, yeah. 23, okay, whatever, yeah. So at that time, I made a proposal to hold the next offering in Mongolia.
Yes, you did.
Right?
We remember that.
I never let go of that.
We do remember that.
And I never let go of that. And, I was like really trying to advance in the vision of His Holiness, right? Then we were at the Compassion Shift last year in Atlanta, and again I announced, let's do something in Mongolia. So now it's official now. Yes, official. July. That we're gonna do something in Mongolia, So July 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, we're gonna do a CBCT retreat, which is gonna be led by Kishinege, Tsundusambe, and Tim Harrison. So the three of them, they're gonna do a 3-day retreat. We are inviting anyone who's able to come and explore. Then also July 5th and 6th, we're working on the conference right now, which is kind of something that has to do with emotional intelligence, compassion combined, but we don't have the title yet. But to hold the conference, it's already confirmed. So, I want to, let that open invitation out to all, I know you always wanted to come, so now this is your opportunity. Yeah. If you don't mind sleeping on the couch, I'll find one for you, but I'll make sure it's comfortable, yeah. I think the information is on the screen, yeah.
Yes, the information is on the screens.
Whatever, I don't have all the details yet because Tsundu and Gishi and I, we were still working on it. We're kind of formulating it, but the dates are confirmed. If you have further questions or, concerns or you want to learn more, please email to either of those two and we'll let you know. So just want to throw it out there and it's happening, yes.
Yes, congratulations. We're very excited for that. So if you're interested, there's more information up on the screen, and please send an email. And then we will open it up for questions. I'll be handing out this mic. So we have a question up here. Oh, there's already
I've got
a mic.
one.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you. So I just wanted to highlight first that I am a scientist and I am here. But Reshma mentioned the burden on teachers, and we definitely see that in the United States as well. They're asked to do more and more things that have nothing to do with teaching. And in doing the compassion teaching, it can mitigate some of the environmental things that are happening to them. But how do we work toward compassionate systems?
Oh, that's for anyone or? Yeah. Okay. How do we work?
Toward compassionate systems.
Yeah, go ahead, yeah.
Maybe I'll just take a shot. I think Jen spoke about this, and I think we all recognize that systems are made up of individuals. And so it's, again, baby steps. We start off with individuals. whether a system is a school, a classroom, a set of schools, a district, or then the government. I think starting with every single individual, and that individual then further creating ripple, is how I would see really that shift happening.
Yeah, similarly, I would say that, when we ask ourselves about compassionate systems, I think the CBCT language would be, what is a self-compassionate system as an inquiry? So recognizing, given the limitations that we are under, and you mentioned one, we're in an epidemic, a crisis of retention of teachers due to burnout. It's very real. And we make the case for academic well-being and social emotional well-being going hand in hand. In fact, we say it's not something that we add to the plate, it is the plate. This is our dear Kim Schonert-Reichel's work, who's an expert advisor for us. But even with this, I think I would offer that mandating, practice, for me, is not a pathway that I would recommend. If we are hoping for transformation, then it needs to be invitational from the outset, from my perspective. And that allows for people to come to you when readiness is there. If self-compassion's in the personal inquiry says, not this year, not today, but I do know that May is offering this every fall. Maybe it's next fall. So it's a predictability as well, a rhythm, so that it's embedded as an offering. And then also having something to meet people where they are when they evolve into deeper places. So that internal capacity is part of the goal of a systems transformation. So not just continually offering C101, but what do we do when we have someone who's showing up every week or every day for a community of practice? And what are we asking of them? Well, listening to what they would like to explore, and perhaps diversifying to meet that deeper need for those who are the most fertile ground. It's not often about quantity.
Thank you. We have time for one more question, and then we're going to wrap up for the night.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. My question is about the fidelity of the C-Learning curriculum and framework. So perhaps I can direct the question to C-Learning India, because you've expanded to so many schools and places. So I'm curious to know, as you start to expand and share the curriculum with more schools, teachers, students, what maybe systems you have in place to maintain the integrity and the fidelity of the curriculum?
Thank you for that question. I think it's a really important question. I think one, since you specifically asked in the context of India, India is not a country. It's a set of several different. It's a continent in and of itself. So that we're really, really diverse, and therefore to expect a cookie cutter kind of expression is would not be honest. But having said that, I think the curriculum, in my opinion, is, while it gives, or it allows and gives room for adaptation, it's quite agnostic in nature. I think one has to also recognize that fidelity, and that's that in our experience, what we found is fidelity is actually also very, very directly proportional to training and the quality of training. So the training, and that's been our experience, if the training is of a gold standard, let's say, and you are also at the same time very, very aware and very sensitive of the context you're working in, whether it's a geography, whether it's a language, whether it is a specific culture, so on and so forth, and then you're able to tweak for that, I think then you have a pretty good chance of making sure that you have transferred and transmitted the set of skills that are required of that particular set of teachers or educators to then take the decision they need to take and adapt it as per their context. But rather than just saying, okay, I'm mandated for you to do it only in this way, which would be in some way not empathetic on our part. So kind of having that ability to know that you've given them the best so that they can not move away from the core and therefore the fidelity of what it is that the program is trying to eventually bring about as way of transformation. That doesn't get altered, but the manner in which they might do it and adapt it, that is, in some way you're giving them that flexibility. So I would respond to it. That's what we've seen.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you all for such a wonderful evening. And I want to give a special thanks, of course, to our panelists and our speakers here today for sharing your insights, your knowledge, and your experience with Sea Learning. That's really important. And thank you as well to our guests and, people in the audience. It's late at night and you've been very engaged, and so we really appreciate you too. And so just some housekeeping notes for tomorrow. Day 2 will start at 9 a.m. And so we're hoping that everyone will be in their seats before 9 a.m. because we want to have a hard start so that we don't fall back on our schedule as well too. But thank you guys so much, and I hope you have a wonderful evening, and we'll see you tomorrow morning. Thank you. Thank you all. You all did amazing. I really appreciate it.